Welcome to another episode of the Lone Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Clemenson, and if you're a recruiter out on your own or just lacking general advice or mentorship, you've come to the right place. Our episodes are designed to give you the motivation, the strategies, and the support you need to become the very best lone recruiter. So join us, grab a cup of coffee, let's take your desk to another level. Now, today's episode, I won't mention their name, but someone has written in a question and asked us what defines a high-performing sales culture in recruitment. And it's a great question because this person wrote to me in the context saying whenever I apply for jobs in recruitment or whenever I look at recruitment ads, they all say, you know, it's a high-performance recruitment culture. And they were asking me, what does that mean? What does that actually mean? I'd love to get you to break that down. So, you know, this might ring true for you or not. What I'm going to give you are, 5 or 6 things to look out for when you are looking at or assessing environments to work in, or you might be able to apply this to your own business or things you're trying to create, like how do I get the best out of my team? Got some pretty great stuff here. But what I want to start with is really defining what high performance means, because I think it's a very intangible phrase, right? The things that come to mind is obviously they make a lot of money, but then on the flip side, maybe that's a mask for we whip the crap out of our staff and we're high performance, so don't fuck around and waste our time. So I think it's important, though, you understand and define what high performance means. So for me, a high performing sales culture in recruitment is obviously going to involve financial outcomes. But for me, if you want to really have that holistic approach, it's going to be a happy office as well. Like, people aren't burning out. They're not, bleary-eyed working till 10 p.m. We all have those moments where you do work a bit harder. But for me, a high-performing sales culture is balancing that work-life balance and that sort of pressure feeling with outcomes. And if you can get the outcomes and have a happy workforce, I actually think that's the secret sauce. In fact, I'd rather have slightly less performance but have that happiness there than have full throttle performance and just burning people out and churning through them, right? So the first thing you want to do is define that. And I know that's the question that this person's asked me. What does define that? I don't think there's a straight answer, but what we can do is look at certain elements of a business or culture, and then and within that, I think you can determine what aligns with your values and your expectations for yourself. And I think that's the best lens to look at it through, right? Is like, how does this suit you? You know your numbers, you know where you're at, you know what your current situation is, you know what your abilities are. You may or may not know what your gaps are, but I think if you can put that next to these items, then you're going to have a pretty good feeling of whether it's a good fit for you or not, or where you need to take your business, in terms of developing your own culture. So the first thing is clear goals and metrics, right? If your business doesn't have very clear goals and metrics, expectations, then you don't know what you're chasing. What is, like, define success, So I think if you're interviewing and you're looking at companies, asking that question, what's the goal? Like, what do you expect from your recruiters? And vice versa. If you own an agency and you're creating that culture, make sure you have clear goals and metrics for your staff, because otherwise they will not know when they're doing okay and when they're doing exceptionally well. And that's quite common because we're always stretching, push. You've had a great month, let's have another great month. But that becomes quite an empty thing. People need to know you've done really bloody well, right? So clear goals and metrics. That's one thing to look out for. The next one is, where's the focus? So, are we focusing on KPIs or are we focusing on results? Okay. And that's a great question to ask yourself, ask the business, ask any environment, is to go, are we so focused on KPIs that we're losing sight of what we're here for, which is, in the context of high performance, which is the outcomes? Or do those KPIs, are they giving the results? And if they're not, then maybe they've got the focus in the wrong place. Or are they completely focused on outcomes and not so much KPIs? Is there a balance? That's a great place to also probe. What's that balance between KPIs and outcomes? Like, let's look a little bit at that. I think there needs to be some sort of a balance. You can't go heavily one way and heavily the other, because if you just go on outcomes, yes, you might get them, but when it doesn't work, you've kind of got nothing to look back on and go, where did it go wrong? And if it's just KPIs, and we've seen those environments that you can be so constrained and so sort of like stuck on the KPIs that you need to meet that really, the outcomes get a little bit lost. So I think looking at that, what continuous improvement programs, learning and development programs do you have? Whether it's your business, again, whether you're looking at another agency, where do they sit in terms of like improving these people day in, day out? Whether you're a graduate or whether you're a senior principal, seasoned recruiter, what does that continual improvement program look like? Is it tailored? Is it one size fits all? How regular is it? These things will sort of give you a feeling for how successful this group's going to be and continue being. The next one's team collaboration, because recruitment is a solo game in a lot of ways, but the moment you can connect people and leverage people and create some synergies and crossovers and some cross referrals, that's the secret sauce. That's that next level, level up on placement. So for example, if you are a lone recruiter and you don't have anyone to leverage out of, you are missing out on massive opportunities. Like maybe you need to go out and find similar sole recruiters and say, look, this is what I do, this is what you do, this is what he does, this is what she does. Where can we cross-refer? You might find 2, 3, 4 more placements a year, and that's all profit compared to what you're doing now, right? And that's how you got to view it. And again, if you're interviewing for a role, if you're looking to join another agency, just asking, what does team collaboration look like? And it's for what they're not saying, right? Because when I've recruited recruiters, the one thing I've learned is that we're all in sales, and it's like people are very good at selling themselves. And so you've got to really get quite attuned to what are they not saying. And I think that's no different when you're interviewing with a company as well. So team collaboration, I think, is a huge, factor for defining a high-performing sales culture in recruitment. 2 more to go. Obviously, commissions, recognition and reward. What does that look like? Is there clear pathways up? Are there clear recognitions and rewards for hitting certain milestones, promotional opportunities? Do you have a great commission structure, a bad commission structure? Is it just about commission, or is it about the accolades? Understanding what that looks like is great. And then look, the last thing to look at, whether you're a business owner, whether you are joining a company, or whether you're just trying to assess your company versus someone else, what is the tenure? What is the turnover of staff in that business? And we know this, right? Like we do this with the clients we service, and we look at tenure and what does that look like? Go onto LinkedIn, go onto the company page, look at the is it stats? And it'll give you company turnover. We all know this. Look at the recruitment agencies. What's the average turnover or tenure of staff in that business? Because if it's a fast turnover, there's an issue somewhere, and that's possibly something to raise. Something to assess if you're looking at your own business. Why are these people turning over? What do they keep saying to me? Don't put your head in the sand. Don't ignore it. That's telling you something. People are coming in and they're not happy and they're leaving. That's possibly the number one thing for me is like, is that high performing or not? It might be that whole it's high performance, but we're burning people out. And that's that thing we said at the top of the episodes. I don't think that's healthy. Or it's all culture and no performance, like no outcomes, and people going, I'm not making money, I'm having fun, but I got things to pay for and things to buy and a life to sustain. So that's it. Clear goals and metrics. Is the focus on KPIs or results? What's the continuous improvement program look like? Team collaboration, is it there or not? What does recognition and reward look like? And then last but not least, what's the average tenure of staff in that business? That's, to me, are all the ingredients that define a high-performing sales culture. I know there's a ton more things you could cover, but they're the main ones. And this podcast, someone pointed out to me, it's for everyone, right? It's for lone recruiters. It's for people who are trying to, build and scale agencies. It might be for a junior recruiter who's just looking for another job. And this episode's applicable to all of those people, because these are the big chunky parts that I think go into the ingredients that go into defining what a high-performing sales culture in recruitment looks like. And that's it. That's all we have time for today. If you got anything out of today's episode, click, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Have an amazing day. And as always, may all your deals come true.